Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. In this presentation, we will showcase a case study of why DNA, mtDNA, and autosomal test, and how everything looks like. My name is Vladimir Kocovic, and I will show you my own scenario, so to speak. What type of test there is? As I said, there is yDNA, mtDNA, and autosomal test. yDNA is typically passed from father to son, mtDNA from mother to son or daughter, and autosomal test is a sum of all of your ancestors, so to speak. Apart from that, you can also do a very broad whole genome sequencing test, from which you can get all of the three tests combined. When we speak about this test, how can you do this? Typically you get you send your saliva to one of these companies, and the most famous companies worldwide for yDNA test is family tree DNA, for mitochondrial DNA, family tree DNA as well, for autosomal family tree DNA, 23andMe, MyHeritage, Ancestry DNA, Living DNA, and so on. For whole genome sequencing, we have Nebula Genomics, which is probably the most complete test that you can do, and with the best service. In Europe, we have Dante Labs, Italian company. In Serbia, we have only yDNA testing for now that I know of. It's the company is called DNK Centar za Genetiku. What I did in my case, I first went to DNK Centar za Genetiku. I did the test there. It's simple test. I got the result. I got interesting haplogroup that I was not expecting given my ancestry. After that, I did entirety of whole genome test. So Dante Labs, Italian company. Once you get the whole genome, it's a large file, over 60 gigabytes. You can extract your autosomal raw data and mitochondrial DNA, Y chromosome DNA, with the help of open source tool called WGS Extract. It's freely available on GitHub. You can download it, install it on your local device, and from there you can get microarray, as shown on the right picture, microarray test. And when you get that, you upload it to one of those specialized sites like Family Tree DNA, MyHeritage, Living DNA, so on. My results are for yDNA. It's I2A 3120, subclade Z17855. But why I said I found it a little bit surprising is because from the region where I have last known ancestry, this is not the main lineage, so this was kind of a surprise for me. For mitochondrial DNA, I got H, very common mtDNA in Europe, as Professor Yosef said. Subclade 12A, which is more like a Balkan, Southern Balkans, and Southern Italy clade. Y20 3120 is more of Eastern Europe, but this subclade, which I belong to, yDNA subclade where I belong to, is typically found among Balkan males. We can now see the theoretical migration path of Z7885, so my paternal ancestors started off in Africa. Everybody, all of the humanity started off in Africa, according to the theory, and they moved somewhere around Eastern Africa, and of course you can see CT haplogroup C already evolved somewhere in Eastern Africa, then through the Middle East. We have branching off between I and J somewhere in modern day Iran or Iraq, and we can already see first branches of I appeared somewhere in Turkey near present day Istanbul, like 50,000 years ago. But this is a theoretical path, but the most known vast majority of ancient people that were found in Central Europe, and Western Europe, as Professor Kleosov said. And you can see this on the picture, somewhere around southern Germany, Austria, northern Italy, the left picture, and concretely this is a branch Y3120 started moving somewhere in the late Neolithic and Bronze Age towards Eastern Europe, and already in the Roman period it was somewhere close to the southern borders of Serbia, Romania, and the eastern borders of Serbia, northern borders of Bulgaria, so the Nubian Slavs. And on the right picture you can see on the dots with shovel, you can see some of the archaeological samples where they were found. So Croatia, Serbia, Slovenia, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Turkey, something like that. Family tree DNA also provides you with Y-DNA results as well as branching. So I can see on my result, I can see people that belong to my branch, so Z17825, but also sub-branches of this, which I don't belong to any of this, so I'm like most closely related probably to this Romanian, Bulgarian, and Greek person, and another two people of unknown origin. But then we can see there are some branches in Greece, Ukraine, Macedonia, and other branches in Bulgaria, Serbia, again Ukraine, and even in Russia and Italy, the last branch. YFull is another provider of Y-DNA results. You upload your full whole genome sequencing test, actually the huge file that you got, and from this file they extract your Y-DNA and MTN DNA. So you can see on the left picture I encircled my result, and on the right picture I put an arrow to my result, and you can see these haplogroups are common in Balkans and even in southern parts of like Greece, like Aegean islands, like Cyprus, for example, also pretty common for this part of the world. Next stuff is autosomal test. And what do you get with the autosomal test? So since we have like 4 billion DNA pairs, base pairs, we cannot inherit everything we cannot inherit from all of our ancestors. We inherit only some certain amount times years ago. So for example, like in the last 300 or 400 years ago, that's where we have that's what this test helps us with. So for example, I can see that my ancestor lived in this part, so they all lived in Europe. Some of them lived in Greece and Balkans. Well, most of them in the Balkans, 79%, 7% in Iberian Peninsula, so somewhere around Spain. Then I have some Eastern European ancestry from Hungary and West Slavs. For example, this is Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and some of them also lived in Central Europe, Germany, France, Scandinavia, 3%. And next test is MyHeritage autosomal test. It shows pretty similar results. I have 69.9% Balkans, so North Macedonia and Greece, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Romania, then Italy, 15%. This assigned me some percent Italian, Greek, and South Italian. As a separate group, 12%. Ashkenazi, Jewish, some Eastern European ancestry, and Iberian, 1.6%. It also gave me some Flemish or Germanic ancestry, let's call it like that, around Belgium. And another thing that I want to talk about is additional autosomal data interpretation applications. So those are the apps that you can use, considered the best at the market at the moment, that from which you can get what your ancient population are you most related to. For example, two of such apps are Illustrated DNA and DNAgenics. Illustrated DNA relies on G25 coordinates to determine what ancient population is closest to you, autosomally, and DNAgenics uses identity by descent method to get what ancient individual share SNPs with. So this kind of identity by descent is actually, what you get with this is SNPs, so parts of the genes which you and this ancient individual entirely share. So either you descend from this person, or you and him descend from another more older person that lived prior even to this ancient person that you share genes with. So it's probably what the test method, let's say, that I prefer the most in this autosomal, and illustrated DNA use a very good approximation, this G25 coordinates. And let's see what this test looks like. So first, illustrative DNA. For example, I picked Iron Age results. So we have Pannonian, which is roughly some Traco-Illyrian tribe, which is typically found in present-day North Macedonia, parts of southern Serbia, parts of Albania, parts of Bulgaria, parts of northern Greece. It's roughly on the map. It's what's shown, these small dots roughly on the map. Then Balto-Slavic, it's like more northern European, northeastern European ancestry, typically around Belarus, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, northern Ukraine, and eastern Poland. Then we have some Phoenician. Phoenicians were traders from the Levant, and they spread all over the eastern Mediterranean, even in Aegean Islands, around Greece, in Italy. One of the typical Western Asian populations, along with Anatolian, which are found in West Asia and partially Hellenized, which is why these two populations are commonly found among the Balkans, because of the Hellenic and later Roman periods. They were entwined into modern Balkans genetics in a smaller degrees, so 4%, 4.8% Anatolian, and Xiangnu are nomadic people from the present-day Mongolian, northern China, and with Avars, Huns, and other people, they arrived in Eastern Europe and left small genetic trace. Next test is, I will show you European ancient ancestry with whom I shared my DNA with. So you can see the numbers, for example, 3 encircled in Ukraine and 11 encircled in Latvia, or 2 encircled in Macedonia and 11 encircled around Romania and Bulgaria, is the number of ancient samples who I match with from this territory. For example, I have 3 people that I shared match, ancient people that lived in Ukraine some 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, and let's say 11 Iron Gates hunter-gatherers and other hunter-gatherers in Romania, Serbia, and Bulgaria that lived also some 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, maybe even 10,000 years ago. But also, for example, like 2 people in Macedonia who were like from more recent period, Iron Age, so somewhere classical Greece period start, something like that, who might have even some Macedonian or Illyrian ancestry. And below where you get huge lists of people that you share your genomes with, ancient people that you shared your genomes with, should I say, and an amount of DNA that you shared with each person, and amount of segments that you share. So unfortunately for me, I share with a person from Spain 2 segments, and also from people from 2 different persons from United Kingdom, again 2 segments, but with some people you can share more segments, 3, and with some people you can share less, 1 segment. Unfortunately, I said on this picture, it just happened to be like this for me. For somebody else it's different, and you can see their Y DNA, or their mitochondrial DNA, and you can see the amount of the shared DNA that you shared. So 0.07, it's not much, and you probably not expect more than 0.1% with any of these very old people. So some Celts you can see in United Kingdom, and some very archaic Spanish people that lived like 2nd millennium before Common Era. Another test that I wanted to show you is Dante Labs health reports. It gives you what conditions you can have what you should take care for. For example, you can have fitness report, health disease report. Health disease, you can see, for example, I have susceptibility to insulin resistance. This is where I should, base my diet on, live more healthy. And on the right hand side, you can see I have, for example, good genes for muscle resistance training, or bad genes that are not really good for. Should I say this muscle response is like flagged? It means it's bad. And for example, I'm prepared for speed sports, where I have like a triangle, yellow triangle, where this is like enhanced. The other conditions are like normal. You can base your lifestyle upon these reports. So that's all. Thank you very much.